Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. This is the LL3 podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date is Wednesday, September 25th, 2019. I know many of you are out there in the United States and possibly around the world hearing the manifestation on the impeachment inquiry for President Trump. It is so comical. Now they want to use the claim of he's trying to get the Ukrainian agents involved on Hunter Biden, which is Joe Biden's son. And they say that he won't give them any foreign aid. So of a bribe. That's what they're going to try to focus on. Maybe more other articles of charges of impeachment will be coming as well. And we all know all the dirtbags such as Ted Deutsch, dumbed down Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and many others are saying this man is unfit. But the question is this: is it okay for them to breach their oath of office and be corrupt and exercise treason and be proud tyrants politically? Something to think about. Well, a lot of these clowns are addressing it, including Nancy Pelosi, can't even wipe their own rear end when it comes to liberty, because they want to control every single one of us. Yes, folks, you know me. If you heard my show for a very long time, I'm not a Trump worshiper. When I'm critical, I have merit, but won't be a parrot. Well, folks in the Twitter world, I hate that man so much. Hate this man to be exact. Like, he's guilty, get him, when we get him, we're free. No, you're going to get screwed as usual. But I recommend everyone out there start thinking for themselves. Do your own homework. Plus, beware of the distractions, because anything else can happen right under our noses. All you got to do is a little reading. It's plain and simple. Yeah, actually, I'm along the New River, hanging out, east side of it to be exact. So I'm not going to be addressing that typical trendy topic. However, this one came from the Consortium News, came out yesterday. It's about the Angry Arab, which is a Netflix episode series, which is Mossad propaganda. I haven't seen it, so I can't make any judgment. Well, that's what happens when you learn not to watch too much TV, all these other video programs. That's like very unintelligible. All right, well, this one here, which is the Angry Arab, Netflix propaganda, Mossad propaganda, is by Assad Abu Khalil. And it says here, Arabs are pushing back against distortion of fabrications in The Spy, a new series based on supposedly true story of Israeli spy Eli Cohen and his exploits in Syria. For too long, Israeli propaganda has gotten away with tall tales about the story of failed spy Eli Cohen. Cohen was deserted into Syria in 1961 under a false name and was discovered and hanged by Syrian military intelligence in 1965. In another context, the story would have been deemed a disaster for the intelligence agency which recruited the spy. Instead, Israel has managed to spin and fabricate a large volume of lies about Cohen's ostensible exploits. Whenever Israeli intelligence suffers defeats and failures, it resorts to its past successes and the relationship between Mossad and Hollywood, and has proven to be invaluable for Israeli propaganda. Netflix seems as closely tied to Mossad as old Hollywood, in addition to a series about the Egyptian spy Ashraf Baran, who Egyptian intelligence still insists was a double agent, although most likely he was not. Netflix has come up with The Spy, a series about Eli Cohen, starring Sacha Baron Cohen. This is not the first American film depiction of Cohen. The book Our Man in Damascus, which was a Mossad propaganda work, was also made into a movie years ago, but Arabs are now more alert to Western distortions and fabrications and have been quite quick to respond to the blatant inaccuracies, lies in the new Netflix series. One Syrian writer counted 10 historical mistakes in the series, while others said that the movie sets had no resemblance to Damascus whatsoever. As these critics make clear, the entire premise of Eli Cohen's fictitious plot is a figment of the Mossad's imagination that Cohen penetrated deep into Syrian society and government, and he was able during his first phase, while posing as an Assyrian immigrant in Argentina, to befriend none other than Arman al-Hafiz, who later served in key positions in Syria. Israeli and Western accounts talk about him briefing the president of Syria in an Israeli TV interview with Cohen's widow. Then even referred to him as Arman al-Assad, confusing Syrian leaders. There is only one problem with that story. A Syrian historian, Sami Malbabe, writes in Gulf News, Colonel Amin al-Hafiz denied being stationed at military attache during the time when Cohen was there. Al-Hafiz arrived in Argentina in 1962 after Cohen's departure. He was not in power when Cohen was in Syria. He was in fact an interior minister and later served as a member of the ruling council. There has not even a shred of evidence that Al-Hafiz ever met Cohen, except in his prison cell because he wanted to ask him questions about his failed mission. And Al-Hafiz denied categorically those claims of acquaintance. They were made into a friendship in the Netflix series. In more than one TV interview, the Netflix series also draws upon the worst Zionist or Orientalist sexist portrayal of Arabs, including typical Israeli sexual humiliation of Arabs. There is a scene where, as soon as Amin al-Hafiz meets Cohen, Hafiz' wife, a conservative woman from Aleppo in real life, immediately reaches over and squeezes Cohen's genitals. Wow, look, interesting there, right? So, what to say? How accurate is the information? Correct. Collapsing myth. Once you expose the lies about Al-Hafiz, the entire Cohen myth collapses. In the 1960s and 70s, the Syrian Ba'ath regime did assist the Mossad's propaganda about Cohen. The Ba'athists of Syria, who had heeded Al-Hafiz due to a better factional feud, did not want to tell the truth and deny that Hafiz ever met Cohen. They were not displeased that Israeli propaganda embarrassed al-Hafiz, who later defected to Iraq and supported Saddam Hussein against the Assad regime. The Netflix series even introduced the founder of the Ba'ath Party, Michael Aflaq, to the story, claiming that he not only knew Cohen but proposed that Cohen held a party for key leaders on the night of the coup of 1963. Aflaq in the Netflix rendition is a drinking partying man, while in reality he was a sturdy aesthetic known for spending evenings in his modest home. Much was made by Israeli propaganda of Cohen's friendship with senior Syrian military officer Abdul Karim Zar ad-Din. Again, there is absolutely no evidence that Cohen ever met him or even saw him. As the 1965 court ruling published in the Syrian paper Athara shows, Cohen knew a nephew of his, Mahdi Zar ad-Din, but the latter was a recruit who was later discharged and held a low clerical post in the Ministry of Municipal or Rural Affairs. What kind of secret information would an acquaintance with this employee produce? Is it true that Cohen established a friendship with an employee at the Ministry of Information, but the employee was hardly the senior official that Mossad's account made him to be? The Ministry of Information employee, George Saif, did introduce them to a few friends, but none were in the top government post, as the Israelis' accounts claimed. And the notion that military officers were escorting Cohen to the front and sharing with him classified information is laughable, as current claims by Western correspondents in Beirut that top military fighters of Hezbollah share top intelligence secrets with Zionist Western correspondents. Is that true? Is it true that Cohen once visited Al-Hama area in the southern part of Golan Heights, but there is no evidence that he obtained any secret information? As a Syrian journalist, Abraham Hemadi pointed out, the international Arabic paper Ash Shakra al-Assad recently Cohen operated in Syria before a Ba'athist coup of 1966 and the new regime change, all military plans and personnel leading to the 1967 war. Okay, we'll continue on here. Newspaper smuggler. It was an Israeli interest to claim that Cohen's espionage was so crucial that it contributed to the decisive victory in 1967. But for reasons for that outcome are well known and had nothing to do with secrets. It was because Arab armies were woefully ill-prepared and Israel had a huge advantage of Western military and financial support. The only evidence of Cohen's usefulness to Mossad was he would smuggle Syrian newspapers from Damascus and shipment of Syrian artifacts. But the brilliant Mossad could have obtained Syrian newspapers from Lebanon with great ease and without any need for dangerous missions and the use of mustaches and disguises. Israeli propaganda also claimed that Amin Hafez, who he never met, offered him the post of Deputy Minister of Defense, and it's common for the Western accounts of Cohen to mention that he almost assumed this title, but Arab critics are pointing out a problem with that story. Position of Deputy Minister of Defense did not exist in Syria until after the coup of Hadi al-Assad in 1970. The series also puts the chief of Syrian military intelligence, Ahmad Soweidani, in Argentina at the time of Cohen's stay when he never served there. It also claims Ahmad Soweidani was acquainted with Cohen when in reality he was one who caught him. Israeli Mossad Netflix propaganda also carries a purposeful classical Israeli sexual insults to Arabs. The story of Cohen insists that Cohen had 17 or more Damascene female lovers, that he was one of the most eligible bachelors in Syria's capital city. He was Israeli after all, and Israel is supposed to be, according to Israeli propaganda, sexually irresistible. But how would Israel know that? Cohen, after all, was its only source in Damascus. Either Cohen invented the idea that he was a sexual magnet for Syrian women, as the Netflix series showed, or that Israeli intelligence made this up after his hanging in order to compensate his ultimate humiliation, having a spy get caught, tried, and hanged. Israeli intelligence has suffered many losses over the years. There was the botched assassination attempt of Khaled Al and Amman in 1997, the assassination of Hamas official Mahmoud al-Mabaho in Dubai in 2010. When Dubai chief of police released pictures of all members of the Mossad hit team, they were circulated worldwide. There are also the failures of Mossad in the face of Hezbollah and the subsequent discovery of many Israeli spy networks in Lebanon in the last 10 years. All of this has damaged the image of an organization that former CIA Director Admiral Stanfield Turner once said was based more on PR than actual effectiveness. An intelligence organization that hopes to rescue its reputation through a Netflix series is a desperate organization seeking glory from past fake exploits. Eli Cohen was a failed spy who was not able to secure access to the government's government or the military of Syria, but who sent Syrian newspapers to Israel and ran what appeared to be a brothel in Damascus. Ooh, interesting indeed. Cloak and Dagger 101. How accurate is the series? Stories that come out in newspapers, social media, etc. It's just an example. People are calling it out. And I'll be very frank, I haven't really watched the series, The Spy, so I can't really make any judgment. But Netflix does there's some propaganda, mind control shows. I can say that for a fact. And I don't have to explain myself. All I gotta do is subscribe, watch, and judge. Oh, this is why I tell everyone on my show, one of my main slogans, always observe responsibly. Because if you don't, it can burn you. That's why if you see me post stuff on Facebook and Twitter, how accurate is it? I don't know. But it's just the main topic. And take it from there. That's why I always tell my viewers, listeners, hey, got something to share, maybe different? Toss to me. I won't be offended. But the bottom line is this. Always do your homework. Don't just take my word for it. Go further and circulate with others, including this particular article I read, and judge for yourselves. All right, I'm going to do one more here. Make this one pretty short. This one came from the Grayzone on the 23rd of September. It says here, bomb-plotting extremist American soldier tried to join U.S.-backed neo-Nazi militia in Ukraine. This is by Ben Norton. A far-right soldier in the United States has been arrested by the FBI for plotting bomb attacks targeting American media outlets and Democratic politicians. While serving in the U.S. military, this right-wing extremist fascist militant in Ukraine and other countries information on how to build bombs, including what he called cell phone IEDs in the style of the Afghans. The FBI said he also planned to travel to Ukraine in order to join Azov Battalion, a neo-Nazi militia that has for years been directly supported by the U.S. government. It's interesting when they say he's a neo-Nazi and he's been arrested, but then like this part of this article, I can see right now, he's guilty till proven innocent. But I will continue on here. In his court filing, the FBI described the Azov Battalion as a violent far-right paramilitary group, yet failed to disclose that this fascist militia had been armed and advised by American military officials in order to turn up the heat on Russia. Publicly available photos show U.S. military advisors directly meeting with the Ukraine neo-Nazi militia, but the complete lack of critical coverage from a compliant mainstream media has ensured that few Americans know about their government's double game with fascists. The shocking arrest of a U.S. soldier is the latest example in a long list of cases of what intelligence agencies refer to as blowback, when U.S. government support extremist foreign proxy fuels violent terrorism back at home. Looks like this one accuser, one suspect, maybe a mind control victim for all we know, or been programmed. U.S. Army soldier teaching far-right extremists how to make bombs. The FBI filed a criminal complaint in Kansas District Court on Monday, September 23rd, revealing that it had arrested U.S. Army infantry soldier Jarrett William Smith for the alleged crime of distributing information related to explosives, destructive devices, and weapons of mass destruction. In online messages with the FBI informant, Smith discussed carrying out terrorist attacks inside the U.S. and said he was looking for fellow far-right radicals. He also talked about killing members of Antifa, a decentralized anti-fascist group. Well, I gotta say one thing. Antifa is, a lot of people are in Antifa. Mainly, I noticed in Portland, a few other places, have fascist attitudes. They're little tyrants. It's just an example, folks. I'll continue on here. According to the filing, Smith had since at least 2016 had been in regular communication with Craig Lang, a far-right extremist who traveled to Ukraine to fight with the neo-fascist militia, the right sector. Smith had initially hoped that Lang could help screen him and give him approval to join Ukraine's radical right. Smith told Lang in June 2016, before he enlisted in the U.S. Army, no former military experience, but if I cannot find a slot in Ukraine by October, I'll be going into the Army. To fight is what I want to do. Apparently unable to find an opportunity in Ukraine, Smith joined the U.S. Army in June 2017. While in the U.S. military, Smith repeatedly shared tips and tricks with Lang and other right-wing extremists in social media chats on how to build bombs. In a Facebook group that Lang and others in December 2018, Smith boasted of his ability to create improvised explosive devices, IEDs. Ryan, I got knowledge for IEDs for days. We can make cell phone IEDs in the style of Afghans. I can teach you that. You know, post that on Facebook? Huh. Sounds like it's a little bit strange here, folks. A little fishy, right? Arrested for trying to fight with U.S.-backed Ukrainian Nazis. Following the arrest of William Smith, CBS reported that the U.S. Army soldiers had discussed traveling to Ukraine to fight with a violent far-right group. Like other corporate media outlets, CBS offered nothing more than pre-functionary accounts that failed to identify the specific extremist Ukrainian militia. In his criminal complaint, however, the FBI wrote that Smith spoken about his desire to travel to Ukraine to fight with the Ukraine-based violent far-right paramilitary group Azov Battalion. What the FBI did not mention is that the U.S. government has for years supported Azov Battalion as a proxy against Russia and its regional allies. Since the U.S.-backed coup 2014 overthrew Ukraine's democratically elected government and installed a viciously anti-Russian pro-NATO right-wing government, Kyiv has been battling pro-Russian separatists in the east of the country. I've been reading about that too. It's part of the whole grand chessboard thing too, if you read by Zbigniew Brzezinski. Very interesting there. Neo-fascist Ukrainian groups like Right Sector and Svoboda played a major role in this Western-backed regime change operation. In the violence following the putsches, these forces cohered into neo-Nazi militias like the Azov Battalion and C-14, named after a white supremacist 14-word slogan. In 2014, the Azov Battalion was directly incorporated into Ukraine's National Guard, merging the explicitly fascist militia with the Ukrainian Ministry of Interior Military. Sorry about that. The United States strongly backs Ukraine and has given it significant military support. Many of the weapons provided by Washington have ended up in the hands of avowed neo-Nazis. The Grayzone have repeatedly reported on the U.S. government's support for these neo-Nazi forces, including both Azov and C-14. In 2018, the Grayzone editor Max Blumenthal reported on a meeting between U.S. military advisors and the Azov Battalion. In 2018, Ukraine's embassy in Israel attacked Blumenthal and the Grayzone for reporting factually on how Nazi Azov Battalion was using Israeli weapons in the field. It's interesting here, you can look, there's a photo in here as well. You can look this up. The fascist Ukrainian militia had published photos on its website in November 2017 showing uniformed American Canadian military officers shaking hands with an Azov officer who was wearing a patch of a Nazi-inspired symbol, the wolf angle. It's interesting about the whole wolf angle because it's like a 2,000-year-old symbol. And I know the German peasants started using it to fight oppression. They use it as a symbol. And of course, the Nazis made it more infamous. They tried to probably get oppression from the banksters and all that. So very interesting there. But it's been going like maybe 1,500, 2,000 years ago. So I will read on. Latest example of blowback. In its report on the arrest of the extremist U.S. military soldier Jarrett William Smith, the legal news website Law and Crime described the Azov Battalion as a far-right terrorist group. It failed to mention that the U.S. government had directly supported this violent far-right terrorist group. However, shockingly, Smith is far from the first far-right American extremists who have plotted violent attacks with U.S.-backed Ukrainian fascists. In November, Grayzone editor Max Blumenthal reported on an FBI indictment of 4 American white supremacists from the violent neo-fascist Rise Above movement who had trained with Ukraine's Azov battalion. So how deep does this go? Woo, pretty damn deep, allegedly speaking here, but I'll go on. The FBI said in this indictment that Azov is believed to have participated in training and radicalizing United States-based white supremacy organizations. Yeah, probably a lot of them are funded by the federal government. Probably the leaders are getting paid by them as well. Our tax dollars at work, America. This reminiscent of blowback from American support for far-right extremist Islamist groups in the Middle East and Latin America who subsequently carried out acts of terrorism inside the U.S. While a few corporate media outlets have been willing to acknowledge U.S. support for neo-Nazi groups like Azov, the growing danger of blowback has propelled a burst of critical reporting about the militias. Back in 2014, Vice Media promoted the Ukrainian neo-Nazis, whitewashing and even directly embedding with them while they were fighting pro-Russian separatists. But 5 years later, Vice has suddenly donned a vaulted face. This July, news outlets published an article warning that battle-hardened far-right extremists who trained in Ukraine were returning home to the U.S. and Europe with violence on their minds. This is what Ben Horton, interesting about that, what Ben Horton did, so what Ben Horton did is put out all sides here, and even Vice Media had a look at that as well. And this is why I'll see here, my friends, a lot of this possibly a lot of these folks that are coming over here or involved with the Azov battalion. Many of them may be mind controlled for all we know. That's just the name of the game. That's how these secret government agents think. All you gotta do is look at MK Ultra and all that. Even Project Monarch, which is mainly sexting, but it's all part of the mind control program. Well, that's one thing. That's why I get really antsy and anal. I say anal on that, but on imperialism and so forth. It comes in multiple disguises, which I find completely unacceptable. And even President George Washington and the founding fathers agree we should not get involved in foreign entanglements. This is Ukraine's problem, not ours. But I know the late Zbigniew Brzezinski talked about in his book, The Grand Chessboard, the great natural resources Ukraine has. So they're going to try to keep his legacy going under a different name. So what's your input? Share this information with me, all right? Okay, folks, that's it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us on social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or maybe say something that's interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please send your comments with decorum. And that's it. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.